Good afternoon or late morning to all of you, and hopefully we get more as we go along. Hello and welcome to the NCBP 21st Century Lawyer Metro Bar Virtual Town Hall. For some of you, you probably know about 21st Century Lawyer, something that the NCBP started several years ago. Today's session is not about giving you the answers, but about really sharing with each other what we've all learned over the past 4 months of this pandemic. Pretty soon you will all be placed into breakout rooms with a facilitator. Each facilitator will ask questions about their particular topic. We have 4 topics today: survival of the bar, member retention, member engagement, and non-due strategy. All of you will be allowed to share your insights and hear from other bar leaders. After about 10 minutes in those breakouts, you will be matched with a different facilitator for a new set of discussions. So all of us will participate in 4 different discussions other than the 4 facilitators. We'll do this 4 times until you've all had the chance to discuss our 4 topics. And to start, everyone's lines have been muted, but when we move into the breakout rooms, all lines will be unmuted. And we hope you will join us with your videos as well, and it looks like many of you have. The chat feature is also available if you'd like to share that way. And you can use the question and answer function to share your questions about these topics. This is the first time that we're trying this in terms of breakout rooms, but given pandemic and who knows when we'll all be able to connect in person again. Hopefully this isn't the last time, but please bear with us if there's any glitches. Teresa Peavy will be making sure that people move to their or get in their rooms and breakout sessions. Few just overall statements about the overall state of metro bars and state bars for that matter that are not mandatory. I think all of us, even before the pandemic, even before this crisis hit, have been struggling for many years. I know the NCBP and the Metropolitan Bar Caucus and committee and in our local bars and at the ABA meetings and everything else. I think it's no secret that voluntary organizations, whether it's bar associations or other activities, have become less and less of a thing. And it's not just age related, but it's really a value proposition of what we're giving to all of our members. But I think what's happened in the pandemic and from discussions with the MBC Caucus Committee and with membership and programs for the NCBP and other organizations I belong to, some of the numbers that we're starting to see, I think, with respect to bar associations and budgets and membership renewals are startling, to say the least. I know in my home bar, the Chicago Bar Association, we're planning and they're budgeting for the potential of losing 15% of members this year. The Illinois State Bar, which is a voluntary bar organization, has budgeted for a 20% downturn in terms of membership. And so when we were talking about topics for this 21st Century Lawyer program today, again, we don't have all the answers, but we thought it might be an appropriate use of our time and the hour that we have together to explore some of these questions and see if there are things that bar associations around the country are doing well, or things that they can use some help with in terms of our peers, in terms of the experiences we've had. And so with that, I don't want to spend too much more time. We'll do that in the breakouts. And each of the breakout sessions, Russell Jones and Nikki Miliband and Rick Kaplan are facilitators along with me. We have 2 or 3 or 4 questions. We don't want to have too many questions because of 10 minutes, but we're going to explore those. And then what Teresa's going to do in a minute, and again, bear with us, is she'll be moving us to breakout rooms in order for us to be able to explore some of those topics. Teresa will open up the breakout rooms. You should automatically be moved and assigned to those rooms. She'll move the facilitators at the 10-minute mark. Again, you'll have an opportunity to speak to each of the 4 topics we're exploring today. And then Teresa, at the end of that, will bring all of us back together. The facilitators and others will be able to report out what was discussed, what some of the answers are or ideas. And then if there's time, et cetera, we can just open it up to general thoughts. So if that sounds good, we'll have Teresa now move us, and fingers crossed, like I said, we're guinea pigs. Hopefully this, we all get to transport it like the Jetsons to our breakout rooms.
Our topic is membership retention. I'm going to kind of give you all 4 questions all at once and have people chime in, answer, or address any or all of them if you'd like. The 4 are these. How has the COVID-19 crisis affected your membership numbers? What have you seen or heard as far as good ideas or best practices to retain members during the crisis? What have you done? What have you implemented in your bar to address membership attrition? And what value adds are you looking at to ensure that members make membership a priority? You know, historically, we've all been told that if you've got 50% of the lawyers in your area as members of your bar association, if you're a voluntary bar, then that's great. I know here in Kansas City, we float up and down from that number year to year. Because of our membership cycle, we haven't seen anybody dropping off really yet, but that's because we don't ask them to renew their dues until later in the fall. So we'll see what happens, 4 or 5 months from now. We'll see how we're doing. So let's just go around the horn. Vincent?
Hi there.
Yeah.
So our membership is actually on track. And much of that has to do with the fact that we're in the middle of the membership year. So folks who already paid for this year already paid, got their money. So we are anticipating that we probably will have some requests when folks start renewing towards the end of the year about requests to have some form of discount or some type of waiver as part of their membership fee. Now, I'm not sure how many other bar associations throughout the country are doing this, but a couple years ago, we took a pretty bold stand in combining all of our fees into our membership fee. So rather than for each MCLE or programming charging separate fees for each of those programs, we've combined it into one easy annual payment. So that has been actually really helpful in building more membership and sustaining continued membership. What have we done? Well, we've done a lot around the civil rights unrest that has been taking place as a result of what happened with Mr. Floyd. We've made it a very conscious effort to put a lot of programming here in Oakland, California, to address some of the BLM protests, to have and create space, to have discussion around it. And what we found is that in our, how many members? Approximately 1,500 members here in Alameda County, there's a lot of interest in these type of programs to have these type of discussions. And so I think that's really sparked a lot of interest in our organization. And more importantly, we made it a very important and conscious effort to co-sponsor a lot of these programs and events. We have one coming up tomorrow. Actually, I'll be part of as well to talk about what Juneteenth means. We are co-sponsoring that with the Charles Houston Bar Association. So I think in times like these, and I think overall as we're looking towards the future, we're going to be doing a lot of more outreach and really partnering with ally organizations. And the idea is to cross-pollinate, because so many of the bar associations, whether it be county bars or state bars or even specialty bars, a lot of them either reside here in Alameda County or work in Alameda County. So we want to be able to capture that, and we've been making a huge push for that type of programming. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the good ideas about the outreach and partnering up with the specialty bar associations. I can see great value in that. Tom, what about in the Virgin Islands?
I think that not only within the Virgin Islands, but also, even with the American Bar Association, I think the two keys are engagement and relevancy. And what we have seen has, a tremendous outreach. I mean, I think that more lawyers have been engaged with bar associations post-COVID-19 than I've seen in some time. With various Zoom meetings. I mean, I think that lawyers have embraced new technology, but the issues regarding COVID-19, civil rights, as Vincent has said, has been another one. And also the economics of law practice. I mean, a lot of lawyers are having to address these economic issues in their law firms and stuff. So I think that, it's, law firms are looking for answers or whatever. And I think that bar associations are also there looking to address what are the immediate needs of their membership. And I think that's so important. And that's what I've seen happening. And I think it's going to inure to the benefit of bar associations moving forward. And I think, you may see, some initial downturn, but I think in the end, I think people will return and we will increase our numbers as we engage our membership and bring in new members.
Give us some ideas, if you could, Tom, about or an example of some of the things that you've seen or you're doing to address those immediate needs of your law firms and your lawyer members.
Well, I used to be the chair of the ABA's Law Practice Division, and there have been a number of programs and things that the local bars and state bars and the ABA have done. I mean, how do we address the issues? Everything from remote notarization, remote closings. How do you address, I mean, this in the post-COVID world? How are we doing it? How are we utilizing technology to adapt? And so I've seen this in a number. I feel like I stay on Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx. I mean, I live on it. So I think that that's the way they've done it. And you can do these type programs. They may not be for credit, but you can rapidly get these together. And you can, and I've seen law firms that have been able to, bar associations that can turn on a dime and be able to produce a program in a matter of days, as it in the past it's taken a month or more.
I guess I can, Tina, why don't you?
Go right ahead, Mike. Go right ahead.
So I'm the incoming president. Our fiscal year ends at the end of this month, and we are still, I guess, dues aren't due until the fall, so we don't really know how it's affected us. Although we do have monthly membership meetings where we have a presentation and we gather for a meal, and we haven't been able to do that. And so that has been a drawback, but in the fall, we're gonna start doing them virtually. And I think it's going to actually draw more attendance because members won't have to stop in the middle of the day and go to a location. It won't take as long. They can monitor that while they're doing other work. So I think that's going to actually be a positive. We do want to get back to the days when we get to meet in person, and we're going to do it without charging as we would normally charge for food.
Yep.
So I think, it's hard to tell how it's going to affect us. Tina, what percentage of our lawyers are in the association? I think it's pretty high.
We have about it's about 800 attorneys in Genesee County. Our membership is over half of that. So we're doing good with over half of the membership, and it fluctuates. Even though statements went out in May, it's hard to tell what we're going to lose because they're not due until the end of October, but we did budget for a 10 to 15% loss. As of right now, our dues are steadily coming in every day. So we won't be able to see what that loss is until September or October. But our dues are coming in every day. And I wrote down the questions that Russell said. And one of the things he said, what's the value that you're adding during this time? And like Mike said, we're trying to move everything virtual. We're trying to do as many virtual meetings as possible to show that it still benefits in being a member of the Genesee County Bar.
So this is Teresa. I apologize. Nikki has not joined the room yet. I need to get a message to her to join. But the next session that we're going to be talking about is non-dues revenue and what your bar is doing. There's been a lot of bars that have moved to free CLEs, and they've had to cancel their big in-person events. So we want to discuss a little bit about what bars are doing with that non-dues revenue. Maybe if someone could talk about what your plans for major events such as luncheons and galas. Have you moved to something else? Is it a fundraiser still, or is it something that's going to be virtually online and not going to be a cost?
Stuff, giving up, with seminars and things, but also showing value, and thereby creating a desire for membership. But like things such as these expos, people said, oh, we couldn't do an expo. We couldn't, but you can. And you can get sponsorships through these expos. And then, where they have an opportunity to directly address virtually your membership. And then also set up one-on-one meetings throughout the meeting time to meet one-on-one with your members. Also, these even social occasions with regard to your annual meeting stuff, that I've seen a lot of that too, and lawyers having opportunities to socialize with one another where they haven't had an opportunity to do this for years. So I think that, that there are, in the problems of COVID-19, there is value that we can mine to have a connection. I mean, I can't imagine in Oakland, California, if they wouldn't have various connections and, and reach out to them, and they'd be willing to do it. I mean, there's some great lawyers in your area, I think, and judges, I mean, that you could get to address your bar.
In Los Angeles, we have found, so we were shut down. We're a big bar. We have about 20,000 members out of, what would you say, Trudy? Probably 50,000 lawyers in Los Angeles County, thereabouts?
Probably something like that, Ron, yeah.
Yeah. So we have found that COVID-19 was the great rejuvenator for the Bar Association. It's been the biggest blessing for the bar in terms of regenerating interest in the bar, in allowing people who weren't going to get in cars and drive to events, right, or didn't want to spend the money and go to events, to suddenly become informed and to become active. Lawyers who had no interest in the Los Angeles County Bar Association have found that we are the spokesperson for the court and for the county in terms of how the administration of justice shut down for the last several months and now is ramping up. The court designated our Bar Association as its spokesperson to all the lawyers in the county. And so it's been a blessing. So I'm an older lawyer. You wouldn't tell by looking at my picture, but I'm an older lawyer. I've been practicing law almost 50 years.
Nothing wrong with that, Ron.
And we went immediately to Zoom. And then
Ron, I hate to interrupt you. We're going to have to move rooms in just a minute. I just wanted to post one more question to everyone and finish talking about that, and we'll bring in our next facilitator. But what have you changed anything with your sponsorship outreach since moving to virtual? And let's start with Suzanne. Did you do anything different with your sponsorships? You can start about that, and I'll bring in your new facilitator in just a minute.
We did. We used our sponsors, our court reporters, and some of the other vendors to help us with a wellness channel.
Okay, I am here. My room is about member engagement. So I've got 4 general questions. Love to hear everybody's input and what they're doing to really help maybe something different that has engaged young lawyers or with other sections or committees of your bar. Has the move to virtual meetings and programs changed the demographics as to who has attended? Have you seen changes? Especially one of the things I know we've kind of people have said is when you're now giving all these things for free, are you getting more people coming in? And is it different? And is it becoming a recruiting tool at all? And then has your bar done anything to engage members in discussions about social justice? How is that? You've done any of that? So whoever wants to go first, just go for it, and then we'll pass around.
This isn't shy group.
Okay, Ron, go ahead. I'll let you go first because I know you guys are very active and you've got a ton of programs. I'm in Beverly Hills. Ron is in LA, so I'm a member of his bar too, and I know you guys are doing a lot.
And we're really happy to have you. So we kind of follows from what we were talking about a little earlier. We immediately went Zoom. We looked at WebEx. We have a cybersecurity section. They kind of helped us. We went Zoom. Our organization, our board of trustees and our executive committee has not missed a single meeting. We've just switched it from in-person to Zoom. Our sections have not missed any of their meetings. They went immediately to Zoom. Our programming is more robust than it has ever been, with lots of collaboration between our practice area sections, between LACBA and our affiliate and affinity bars, and between LACBA and the courts. So we have found that this is a, pardon me, perfect tool for engaging younger lawyers and lawyers who have not been previously active. We've reached out to those lawyers. We're in a huge county, with you've heard about our traffic problem. So we get more people coming to these events who have not attended in-person events than you could imagine. The result of all of this for us is not a decrease in membership. Our membership, we put in lots of effort over the last year in terms of getting our renewals in, cutting the people who weren't there, and figuring out who our targets were going to be. And our targets are younger lawyers, law students, and lawyers in kind of outlying areas that I call the heartland of law practice in Los Angeles. And those are the people that have kept our numbers steady. Frankly, we're looking at an increase this year in membership, not a decrease.
That's great, great. Anybody else want to add to any of those questions? Otherwise, I'll start calling on people.
Hey, Rich, go ahead, Vincent.
No, please. You go ahead.
Go ahead, Trudy, I'll get you next, Vincent.
Hi, this is Trudy again from Orange County. I saw, you mentioned social justice and what our bar is doing. I don't know if you all saw it, but the American Bar Association put out some information related to Juneteenth, which of course is tomorrow, and it was a sort of a literacy program helping people. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quickly. It's the 21-day racial equity habit building challenge. And it's a number of articles and podcasts and such for people to look at over the course of 3 weeks. And we're going to be sharing that with all of our members. We initially shared it with our labor and employment section. That's how we first became aware of it. But it has 21 short assignments. Anybody can participate in it. It's free. It comes from the American Bar Association. And it's something that we're proud to lend a hand to and highlight.
Thank you. Thank you. Vincent, you want to?
Yeah. Hey, Vincent Tong. I didn't get to meet you earlier, Richard, but I'm up here in Oakland, California. And funny thing is that I'm the president-elect. The funny thing is that our last bar board meeting, we actually took a look at your bar's website because you guys have this program where you have like virtual office or something like that as part of the offerings for your members. Really great idea. So so that's just one of the examples, right? Taking some of the best practices that we've observed our ally organizations or other bar associations in the area that have been helpful in terms of engagement, et cetera, and just and figuring out how to utilize those type of best practices and changing them in such a way that it helps our members continue to engage. Up here, much like Southern California, there's we have a Bay Area legal incubator, so BALI. Down there's one in, I believe, LA County as well as San Diego. And ultimately that serves to help younger lawyers or lawyers who are interested in transitioning into their own practice. And so folks like that have been really pulling them in terms of what does tech means. And I know that somebody on this panel had talked about that as well. What type of tech are there? Reaching out to the vendors actively, well, actually they're reaching out to us, and then getting them as part of our more of a passive revenue generation to get them to sponsor some of our programs. So not only do they then get to help with their sales, we're building relationship with them. They're helping to sponsor certain organizational events. So we've been able to leverage that in some ways, moving away from physical space, right? And this is a challenge that we're starting to talk about more because our installation for my installation, which will come in January, we typically have these large full room events. And that's probably not going to happen this year, even if we get back to somewhat of a quote unquote normal. Or it's just about creating space. And it's almost like that movie Field of Dreams, right? Like once you create it, they will come. And that's kind of what our experience has been so far.
What has been the situation? Is everyone, the bars still having virtual meetings for the foreseeable future, or is anyone scheduled a actual face-to-face meeting? And if so, like when? No one?
I assume face-to-face beyond just like my face facing your face across the screen.
In-person meeting.
No, our Alameda County Bar office is still closed. We do not have any plans to have any face-to-face meetings, programs, or events any foreseeable future.
Genesee County Bar Association is planning an outdoor annual meeting next Wednesday.
That ought to be interesting.
Hello, everybody. This is Dan, and this is the Survival of the Bars. And so one of the things I think I heard coming into the room, probably as a cutoff of the last, is exactly this question: what does the new normal look like? And
never know. We're getting our RSVPs are coming in slow, but they're coming in.
Good. Anybody else know anything adjustments for the new normal to try to figure out ways to survive, and any brilliant ideas on what can be done to to survive?
Well, I think we've been talking about it throughout the meeting, but I think it's just, engagement, remaining relevant, bars being able to turn on a dime. And what used to take a month or months to plan, bars are being able to turn around and do it in a couple of days or a week. So that because of that, they're very agile and can, be quite relevant to, and timely for, what are the needs of our membership, and how can we address them, and it's going beyond just the subject of law. I think it's also dealing with things such as attorney wellness. Benson was talking, and several have talked about having yoga, virtually, and I mean, so there are a number of things that law firms, bars, we're all having to think outside the box, and I think they're meeting the challenge.
Yeah. And for a lot of you, and I know in Chicago it's been an issue, but are there things you're trying to do to for small and solo firms to keep them engaged and paying? We've heard some things about folks wanting to belong to the bar, but the payment and one payment is too much, or other things. Are there special programs any of you are doing to try to attract and keep, the small and solo, which in many bars like the Chicago bar make up a significant percentage of our membership?
I think the biggest thing is that bars have been doing is free, giving them free programs, whether you're a member or not, is what we've heard today, and giving them a taste of the good stuff and hopefully engaging them. So then when it is time to up the dues or to pay dues, that new members will be coming in.
In Los Angeles, we recognize that small and solo practitioners are probably the future of the bar. And that as Big Law has retreated from financially supporting bar associations, we have to have a different value proposition and a different constituency. Our small firm and solo practice section is one of the most active sections at our bar association. Huge emphasis on networking, on business generation and co-generation. And our networking functions are both virtual. They were always designed to be in person. They've now gone virtual, and our plan is to offer both of those later. Our view going forward is that technology is here to stay, and that programming has to include online access for members. It can't just go back to the way that it was. If you look at finances in major bar associations throughout the country, membership numbers are down, membership revenue is down, event revenue is down. There's a message in there for us that going back to the old way is only going to get the same result. Einstein was the one who said doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is insanity. And none of us want to grab that moniker.
Right. Are there any concerns? I know I've heard that a lot, and I think there's been some discussion in the other breakouts that I've had that a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the stuff is free and attracting everybody. There's all kinds of it. Is there any concerns as we get past post COVID-19, hopefully for good, that the value proposition will be difficult, that people will not want to pay? Or does anybody have that concern, or are you confident that given the value proposition that when they do have to pay or renew or come on board as a member, they'll happily pay the fees?
I think you have to expect there's going to be some of that, Daniel. It's it's one thing to give out free samples, and as good as it is, and the program has, I think, been really good, but I do think it's a leap from free to paying whatever the dues level is for that particular bar. One of the things that, and I agree with Ron about the viability of the solo small firm group within the bar, that's so attractive, I think, is that if you go to a family law section meeting or real estate or tax, you're with other practitioners of that same, in that same area. And with solo small, there's such a cross section of different practice areas that the attorney referrals are, I think, better. So it's a really, and having our solo small firm group already had a pattern of 1 month, they'd have some roundtable discussions, followed by the following month with a more formal speaker presentation. And I think they're a group that is really liking the virtual part of this and being able to engage this way. And I imagine they'll keep that a part of the mix even when everything's clear and everybody could get back together.
Yeah. One of the interesting things I think that I hear a lot about is people are clamoring, right? They haven't been together in a long time. So for meetings and stuff, to be bigger crowds. It's funny because we've been fighting that as bars, right? The Chicago bar, a lot of bars do a lot of online stuff, and there's been a big complaints that there's not as much opportunity, or people aren't interested in coming together in person, and that may be one of the side benefits, at least for a short period of time, right? That I think maybe all of us need to keep in mind for solo, smalls, any size firm members is to have some good events, you know, to the extent we can gather and just see each other in some manner, or use the technologies like Zoom that at least allow us to see face to face instead of just, you know, not knowing who is on the other end of the phone. So we're I guess we're done with this breakout room. So that seemed to fly by faster than 10 minutes, but it's one thing about this I'm thinking is so is everybody back in the main room? Got a lot of faces on here, 1 of 2 screens, 2 of 2. So we hope everyone had insightful conversations with each of the 4 facilitators, and thank you to them for offering to do it, Nikki and Russ and Rick. I'd like to call on each of them to share maybe, you know, very quickly, we don't have tons of time, but share some of the takeaways or parts of the discussion they got during the breakouts. So Nikki, do you want to start?
Sure. I was only able to join 3 of the rooms. Teresa had to take one because I was not able to join one of the rooms, so I apologize for whoever I didn't get into. But they were talking about non-dues revenue and just the events and how they are handling the events that are going on. I found out there's a whole plethora of people are doing everything virtually on Zoom or live streaming. Some are starting to transition into having, you know, half and half, having a portion of the people there in person and like for board meetings and so forth, and having some that are appearing via Zoom. The live events for large events are not happening and are mainly trying to transition to some type of live stream. Also, a couple of the things on the MCLE, everyone's trying to get back and transition into a paying, as opposed to most of the webinars and so forth were being done free relating to COVID and they are starting to transition back into regular sections, paying for the various section meetings and so forth, even though they're being done via Zoom. And we have been looking at one of the interesting things for non-due strategies is I believe it was the Cleveland Bar said that they have basically set themselves up as being a facilitator for virtual meetings for other, you know, their members and other organizations and their affinity groups and things like that, that they are starting to, and they are doing that for a fee, and they are handling and setting up some of these that didn't have the ability to do that. And then one of the others regarding sponsors, apparently the sponsorships have been still working pretty well with the Zoom because they actually have a bigger platform, since much more people join the Zoom events oftentimes than show up at the live events, that the sponsors are interested in doing that because they have a larger field, a group of people to appeal to. So that's my takeaway.
Thank you. Russ or Rick, you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go. So my topic was member engagement, and really what the general overall, what I've been hearing is people have managed to keep their members engaged, you know, via Zoom and these other platforms. Everyone seems to say they are doing pretty well. I mean, with programs, most bars I've been hearing now have not missed a beat with, you know, their board meetings and their section meetings. They're, you know, trying to figure out ways now to build this into the future. They are doing these virtual happy hours. That's been popular among the young lawyers. I mean, I think Westchester County was saying they've actually gained new members from this. And you know, what the programming people are doing are both the CLE, but also the non-CLE, which is just the technical stuff that's helping the, you know, these members navigate Zoom and all of these platforms. And these are very popular programs. And I think it was the Orange County Bar who says basically they're taking the position, Florida Orange County, on that one. It's time to be a member of the bar. Now more than ever is kind of the saying they're doing. Some of the meal programs that people used to do were the breakfasts. Those are still going on. I believe it was, maybe it was Westchester, I'm not sure, but somebody's giving away a lunch on us, and they're giving away $10 gift cards to Panera that go with the program. So you get something. So it's just, you're getting something again, it's just really more of an added value. Cleveland had an interesting, they have a virtual membership, and they've picked up 35 new members. Just a special pricing. They can just get the newsletter, all electronics, but it's then, hopefully you'll suck these people in when things open up, that they're going to go on for the full membership. Let's see. There have been programs in San Bernardino is interesting. They're not only doing things with our bar, they're joining other local bars, the High Desert, and working and doing a program to discuss social justice that's going on, and local law schools also. There are bars that they've also donated some masks to the courthouse, and we also segued to masks that Vicki shared at Kansas City Bar, that they actually had masks that they made, and initially they did their first 150, and they gave them out to the membership just because they'd invest in the membership. There, Vicki's holding them up, and they had to get more. They're now over pushing 500 masks. So it seems as if everyone really is doing programs. There was recommendations to programs, and I'm not sure how they're related, because one is the ABA literacy program. That's I think a podcast. It said that's about a 21-day program that we all should look at. And Tracy, maybe if you can share that in a moment. And then the other one was took from BASF, the Bar Association San Francisco has a 21-day racial equity challenge that they're adopting, and it's something that we all may want to look at to help the communities and also to engage our members. I will say Oakland said they did a Zoom fundraiser, which raised some good money for the bar. And yeah, Cleveland also said they've had really explosive engagement, I think was the with their community-based programming. So I want to make sure we have more. Go ahead, next.
Russ, you want to summarize yours?
Sure. Ours was about membership retention, and it's apparent that all of the sessions were really kind of talking about the same things. And we were hearing things about discounts for quick renewals. Jenny was telling us in Orange County, Florida, they started May 1, and they said if you renew by May 30th, you get a 10% discount, and 70% of their members have already renewed. Talked about bundling activities. We talked about a lot of bars working hard on a lot of outreach, social media outreach, a lot of electronic outreaches. One thing that's caught my eye was to build community support and make members feel good was actually having sort of support your restaurant, take out, carry out, drive up things, where they would get some discounts at local restaurants and encourage people to support them, and then give out prizes for the people who did the best. We heard about a virtual golf tournament and a virtual 5K in Erie, Pennsylvania, which sound like great ideas. Vicki told us about, I think we have already talked about this, the giving free memberships to several thousand non-members, or offering them free memberships for the rest of this fiscal year, on the hope that maybe a bunch of them will choose to renew. One of the themes that I kept hearing was agility and the ability of the bar associations to react very quickly to these changing times, whether this was about COVID, whether this was about George Floyd, whether this is about whatever is happening in your area. I've been very impressed with the ability of the bar associations to pivot and come up with programming. It used to say it would take weeks or months to put together a CLE. Now people are getting them done in a matter of days. They're getting them planned, they're getting them executed, they're getting them advertised, and people are coming. And as a number of folks have said, maybe there's a little bit of a blessing or a silver lining in all of our newfound Zoom capabilities, because it does make it easier for people to participate. Bars that had monthly lunches are getting maybe more people attending them now that you don't actually have to leave your home or your office. You have your own brown bag, as they've said. I came away from this with a more optimism than I expected. It sounds like people are really, really doing some good things.
Thank you, Russ. And same, my breakout was survival, and a lot of similar themes, like you said, Russ and Rick and Nikki. One of the things we talked about a lot was small and solo firms and how we go about that. I think one challenge that was expressed in some of the breakouts in my group was just with respect to so much has been free, and while we're agile and offering a lot of programming, will it translate into new members? It sounds like some bars are being successful in obtaining new members, but I think that will be the challenge for us going forward. People are doing some great things in terms of their swearing ins. One is going to be at a farmer's market, and it could be drive-by or you can get out of the car. They're expecting a big crowd for that. We did hear about some of the virtual things. And the key, one of the key takeaways, I think, for a lot of the metro bars is that if you're not moving to tech and adopting some of these technologies and making them available to your members, whether it's through financial assistance or a discount. One of the bar associations has a great program. They have a consultant they've hired, and at a substantial discount, you can get help from websites and logos to business development and gaining business. And so I think programs like that are going to be more and more important. I've seen a couple of programs as well that have figured out ways to get grants and give out small stipends to small and solo firms that are maybe suffering from not being essential or from not being able to conduct their business as usual in these tough times. So I know that this was supposed to be an hour. I think that the breakouts were great. And so thank you to everyone for participating today and helping us with our first virtual town hall. It seemed to have gone off without a hitch. The only thing, the only negative I think today is that the 10-minute breakout sessions were not necessarily enough time to really explore the topics. We didn't get to all our questions in any of my breakouts. This program will be recorded and will be available on the NCBP 21st Century Lawyer webpage by next week. Be on the lookout for the next 21st Century Lawyer program coming to you next month. And be sure to register for the 2020 NCBP virtual annual meeting. It's being held August 25th through 27th. So it's separate from the ABA meeting. For those of you that will attend virtually the ABA annual meeting, this will be separate. A decision was made that makes more sense to allow our breakout sessions and have better attendance, a small sign-up fee. And so meeting information and registration can be found on the NCBP website, and we'll be out there. And thank you, Vincent Tong, for your comments about the program. And unless anybody has any other words for the good, I don't know if Teresa's going to come on and wrap this up, but really appreciate everybody taking time out of your day to do this. And, I think that these types of sessions, for those that have not attended an NCBP meeting live, I think this is the type of things that we explore with our programming and try to give something back to those that are coming through the ranks as presidents or current presidents. And so I hope you'll find value and come back to future meetings and get involved in committees and other things with the NCBP. So Teresa, are you going to close it, or?
I just want to say thank you for everyone for attending and for sharing your thoughts. We will be posting this on the NCBP website probably next week. Thank you all.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Everybody.
Bye.
Take care.